cycling that have been done for recovery and conditioning over the years, and so many of them are really more habitual than based on science or based on facts and based on how the body really works. We really found out, what really are the foundations of recovery, and we've come up with this technology that takes advantage of that in every way to really get the ideal form of active recovery. So Marc Pro's out there really trying to change the paradigm. My parents started a medical device company in the 80s, and we worked with a lot of high-level athletes as well as amateur athletes. Those athletes started coming to us and saying, hey, we're finding new uses for this technology. Sure, we love it when we're hurt, and we'll put it on if we're recovering from a surgery. But we started just to slap it on when we're on the bus ride home or on the plane ride home, because it's just making us flat out feel good. And as we started getting more and more reports, we really realized and started thinking, can we apply this same technology for more average athletes who are not injured, who haven't had surgery, and help them perform better? It really hit us pretty quickly that recovery is recovery. It doesn't matter whether you're recovering from surgery or whether you're recovering from an injury or whether you're just recovering from a really tough ride or race. You still are trying to flush out that waste and bring in that nourishment, and that is the foundation of recovery. And the reality is a lot of the recovery methods are more habitual as opposed to based on factor science. RICE, for example, the famous acronym we all know about, rest, ice, compression, elevation. It was coined in 1978 by Dr. Dave Merkin. But the reality is in early 2014, Dr. Merkin actually retracted the vast majority of his statements. He believes now that stillness and rest is really the enemy.
Recovery for me in the past has just been trying to figure out, okay, well, I hear someone does this, let's see if it works for me. And mixed results. Rather
than trying to slow everything down, shouldn't we be trying to speed everything up? Take all those metabolic processes and make them happen faster. A lot of people know that active recovery is the best thing you can do. But the last thing a lot of people want to do after they get done with a tough ride, a tough race, a tough training day, is to jump back on that bike and do that warm down, and do that light ride. What Marc Pro is really is active recovery perfected.
So this is our tech room where we do all final assembly of the Marc Pros, as well as all testing, repairs, maintenance. We certainly feel that it's really important to keep manufacturing local for quality reasons, also for some of that proprietary technology that we like to keep close to home. With regulated devices like Marc Pro, you want to make sure that everything is always perfect. So we don't just sample here and there, we make sure that every device gets tested to exact specs.
It's, just become another very important integral piece of equipment. It's so much that's become a habit. I get up, I go to the track. When I'm done, recovery shake, and then hook up to the Marc Pro and get ready. I'm able to go out and murder myself like I did the day before, and it's great.
When you first hook it up, as soon as you put it on, you're going to start getting immediate muscle contractions. They're really comfortable, but they're really strong and intense. And that process of flushing out that waste and bringing in that nourishment is sped up so significantly by using Marc Pro that it greatly enhances and speeds up your body's natural recovery process. The premise is really simple, but what makes it so unique is that we're able to get really massive muscle contractions, which is the key stimulus to bringing circulation in and the key stimulus to bringing and pumping waste out of the area. We're able to do that without any fatigue to the muscle whatsoever, without putting any stress on the body whatsoever, and do it totally comfortably. We have no interest in trying to build strength or tone or give anyone six-pack abs. We only want to move nourishment and waste, and we realize how important that is. It is the critical factor in recovery. It is what recovery is all about. And we set up a completely unique waveform, a very different and much lower set of voltages and frequencies. Some of that's proprietary secret sauce, but a really unique proprietary set of parameters that created this very different type of stimulation. If you're an elite competitive athlete, you're trying to train harder than athletes ever have before. You're trying to train more often than athletes ever have. And then there's the other side of athletes who are trying to ride at an older age than they ever have before. And the reality is eventually people's bodies are just are just saying, screw you, you're doing too much, and they're breaking down. You have a couple choices when that starts happening. You either start doing less, riding less, training less. No one wants to hear that. Or you find a way to recover more. And that's our mission, is to get people to break some of those paradigms they've fallen into or been into for years and years, and realize there are better ways to recover and more efficient ways to recover. And they can make you feel better, and they can improve your performance.